This video is for you if you are an established coach and you want to learn how to use LinkedIn to start filling your webinars. And by webinars, I mean private webinars that you are hosting on platforms like Zoom. People have to put in their name and email address somewhere. My name is Shanae Murray. I have almost 1 million followers on LinkedIn. I have used LinkedIn leading to a private webinar, private masterclass, private challenge to grow my email list over 35,000 people. So I'm going to break down how you can get 50 to 60 people registered for a private Zoom webinar, getting those emails built for your private email list, and closing at least one high ticket client by using LinkedIn. But before we go through that, I want to be able to dispel two huge myths that I always encounter when people start to use LinkedIn to fill their private Zoom webinars. Myth number one, I need a fancy funnel before I start hosting webinars and using LinkedIn to fill them. The long sales page, the fancy checkout, all of those things, you do not need a fancy funnel to start hosting webinars, to start using LinkedIn to build your private email list. All you need is Zoom. When you create a Zoom meeting, you can actually create it where people have to register for the Zoom meeting. When they register for the meeting, they will have to put in their name and their email. And just with this registration form that's ugly and simple, you can start to do this. The second myth is that you need 1 million followers, 1 million views a month, big numbers to fill your webinars and to close clients. And I'm going to actually prove to you that that's not the case. Does it help? Absolutely. It's not going to hurt. I don't want to discourage you to grow and to get bigger, but I also don't want you to look at your LinkedIn following at 1,000, 2,000, 3,000 followers and say, oh, I don't have enough followers to be able to fill a webinar and be able to close 1 to 2 high ticket clients per month. You'd be surprised as to how small the webinar can actually be for you to just get 1 high ticket client a month. My first webinar, I got like 30-ish people to register on the Zoom. I didn't have ugrow.club yet, which is a landing page where you can register for the next LinkedIn masterclass. I didn't have any of that yet. I didn't have a website yet. 15 to 20 people I remember showed up. And this was a meeting. By the way, this was not even webinar style, which is they can see you, but you can't see them. This was a private Zoom meeting. All I did was mute people in the beginning and would unmute them during Q&A. Once I got bigger, that became a little bit of a hassle and it becomes slightly a risk because you don't know if people are going to show up naked to the Zoom and you have to be careful. But on that Zoom, 15-ish, 18-ish people showed up from what I recall. I got 3 calls and I closed 2 clients. I have another client. So she has 3,000 followers. She started doing webinars. And this is just for her first one. 30-ish registrants for her first webinar. She had about 7, 8 people on the actual call while it was live. She got 3 client calls from the webinar. She was able to close 2 clients. And she really didn't even push this. I think she maybe pushed this for like 8 days and didn't do all the things that we're going to go through in a moment. The second client, 1,700-ish followers. She got 40-ish people to register, 15 people to show up. She booked 8 calls and she got 5 clients, which is insane. So she beat me. It just proves that you do not need a huge following to be able to do this. So let's talk about the 5 ways to get people to register for your Zoom webinar by leveraging all of the features that LinkedIn has to offer. This is what I would do if I were just starting to host webinars, starting to build my personal brand on LinkedIn, and I wanted to acquire inbound high ticket clients. The first thing that I would do is to start going live on video on LinkedIn. One of the reasons why I would start here is because a lot of the people that tend to like to learn in that environment will also resonate with the live webinar environment. So this is what this would look like. Let's say your webinar is in 4 weeks. What you would do is you would go live on video on LinkedIn at least 2 times within those 4 weeks. What you say in those lives will determine who registers for your webinar and if anyone does register for your webinar. So what I would do is to focus on subtopics related to your webinar. And it makes sense, right? Because if I go live and I say, hey, this is how you grow your LinkedIn newsletter, and then I say, by the way, if you want to learn about this more in depth, register for the webinar on LinkedIn newsletters at yougrow.club. You're like, oh, that's cool. That makes sense. But if I am live talking about LinkedIn newsletters and then I tell you, by the way, I'm hosting a how to build a wood table workshop, people are going to be like, okay, you're going to get less because it's completely unrelated. And then, of course, during your actual live event, you want to share your call to action, not just at the end, but at the beginning and maybe in the middle once or twice between some of the sub points that you're mentioning. So like I said, if you want to learn how to grow your personal brand on LinkedIn, go to yougrow.club and register for the next masterclass. I'm showing it to you as a point, but for real, if you want to grow on LinkedIn, go to yougrow.club. Let's do the math because I'm going to show you how you can at minimum get 68 people a month to register for your webinar, which means that 68 people will now be on your private email list. And then we'll get to what that adds up to over 12 months. You go live twice a month. You invite 2,000 people per live event. 200 accept, let's say 50 actually show up to each live. And let's say that you get 5 people to register for the webinar each live. You're already at 10 emails a month, which also adds to 10 webinar registrations so far. The second thing that you would do to use LinkedIn to fill your private Zoom webinars, launch your LinkedIn newsletter, publish a weekly edition, strategically write on topics that are related to the webinar that's upcoming in a few weeks, and then lead them to the webinar and the call to action within the actual newsletter. Let's do the math. When I'm doing this math, I'm trying to be as conservative as possible by just focusing on if someone were to do these activities, what would the numbers conservatively look like? Let's say you have 400 subscribers on your LinkedIn newsletter. You do 1 edition per week. 2 people register for your webinar per edition, which is a little low, but I'm trying to be conservative. 8 emails per month and 8 webinar registrants. So we're already at 18. Then the third thing that you're going to do is LinkedIn posts. You would do 1 post a day for the 30 days leading up to your webinar. Make sure that this includes 3 short form videos a week at least, that it also includes text posts, polls, etc. And you want to include the call to action. I could do it within the video, and then I could also include the link to the webinar for them to register in the comments of the video. What I could also do is do a short form video saying, hey, these are the 3 biggest mistakes you're making in your LinkedIn newsletter. Mistake number 1. Mistake number 2, by the way, if you're still listening, DM me webinar because I'm having a private webinar on Zoom for you to avoid all of these mistakes and more. And then people will DM you webinar or whatever word you come up with. Then you will say, great, here's the link to register, and 8 out of 10 times they will register because it's inbound. You're not hounding them in the DMs. So you want to include it in the comments, in the content strategically. Let's do the math. You post 1 time a day. You get 1 person to register per day from your post. That's 30 people registered, 30 emails per month. So now we're at 48. The fourth way to use LinkedIn to get people to register for your private Zoom webinars is to DM them. Now, when you DM them, why you DM them, how you DM them will make the biggest difference. Nobody wants to be pitched. It's one of the biggest complaints I get from high-level decision makers on LinkedIn is that they don't want to connect with anyone because they're immediately being sold to. I'm not saying that selling is a bad thing. I'm saying that you have to know when, how, and why. And honestly, personalize it. Take the time to approach that person in their best interest, because you're also tarnishing your personal brand in the process if you just look like an automated bot that does what everyone else is doing, which is not what you should be doing. For example, someone comments on a post. Let's say I do a short video about how to grow your LinkedIn newsletter. Somebody comments and says, hey, Shanae, after I launch my newsletter, what are some ways that I can grow the newsletter. I could connect with them and I could say, hey, I'm doing a webinar and newsletters this Saturday. You could learn a lot. Do you want the link to register? They say yes. I send them the link. They register. And so the post will create an opportunity for you to DM people that you see engage with your post or like your post or whatever, but don't necessarily register. So let's do the math with the DMs. Let's just say you DM 10 people per week, and out of the 10, 3 register for your webinar. That's 12 emails per month. The fifth way that you could use LinkedIn to get people to register to your private Zoom webinar is in the few weeks leading up to the webinar, you want to change the main call to action on your LinkedIn profile, which is the custom button, to your webinar registration link. In this case, if you don't have a fancy funnel, if you don't have a website, it would just be the Zoom link that you get from Zoom when you create the private meeting. Let's say 200 people visit your profile per week because you're doing the daily content and you may not have 10,000, 20,000, 30,000 followers yet on LinkedIn, trying to keep this conservative. 2 people register for your webinar a week. That's an additional 8 emails per month, 8 webinar registrants. So that totals us to 68 webinar registrants a month, conservatively, if we are doing these things. Out of the 68, 33% from LinkedIn should show up. Because remember, this is not from ads. This is not you hounding them to come. This is inbound. So their interest from the get-go is going to be higher based on my experience. You could even have a 40% show up rate. But again, 22 people show up live on your webinar. If your offer is good, if they are the right people, which they should be, especially if you're working with me, you get 5 calls. That could turn into 2 clients really easily because these are the right people. At a 5K offer that's 10K per month, 10K offer that's 20K per month, 25K offer 50K per month. This does not include follow-up. This does not include now you have the other people from the 68 that registered to follow up, to send them the replay, to work those leads. And now you own all the emails without considering any compound growth, which is nearly impossible because if you continue to do the live video events, you get better at presenting, you get more emails. If you continue to post, you get more followers, you get more exposure, you will get more emails, but not including any compound growth in a world where it's 0. You would get 816 emails in 12 months. And then anytime you want to do a webinar, there will be 50 people like this